Hey everybody, this lesson is rational numbers. So we did integers in the last lesson, so this lesson is rational numbers and the number line. So don't forget, all your lessons can be found at Mrmathblog.com. Okay, so here we go. There's our Common Core strand for our really groovy teachers, and our question is, how can we plot rational numbers on a number line? Well, what is a rational number? So a rational number is any number that can be written in the form of a over b, where a and b are both integers. And okay, so what's an integer? Well, recall it a couple of lessons ago, integers are all the counting numbers including 0, and then all the negative counting numbers. Okay, so those are integers right there. So any integer over another integer is called a rational number. Okay, now we can't have this be 0, and you won't know why until you get in higher math class in high school probably, but you can never have a denominator equal to 0. And I like to think of 0 won't hold up this fraction. It'll make it fall over because it'll roll over like a ball. So 0 can't be on the bottom. Anyway, so examples are 1/3, that's a rational number, -7/4. 5 is also a rational number because 5 can be expressed as 5 over 1. Okay, so integers, you guys, are also rational numbers. And decimals too, you guys, since 0.25 is the same as 1/4, or 0.5 is the same as 1/2. All decimals, fractions, and integers are all rational numbers. Okay, so not everything's a rational number. You might have heard of the word or the number pi. Pi is not a rational number, but you'll learn about that later. So anything that can be expressed as they call it a terminating decimal, like let me go back here. So a terminating decimal is like a 0.25. It doesn't keep going on forever and ever and ever. And also a non-repeating decimal, like 0.3333333. That's a repeating decimal. So basically any decimal or fraction. So I'm sure your teachers can help you with that. Okay, so here we go. So for a science project, Mrs. Tuttle recorded the freezing points of each liquid in the table. And so we want to graph these temperatures on a number line. Okay, so we're going to graph -0.3, -0.5, and 1.4. Okay, let's answer some questions here. Okay, so we're going to locate the numbers in relationship to the nearest integer. Okay, so -0.3, and this actually says -3/10 because that ends in the tenths spot. -0.3 is the opposite of +0.3. Okay, that's easy enough. And then so we know that 0.3 is between the integers of 0 and 1. Okay, so -0.3 is going to be between the opposites of 0, which is 0, and the opposite of 1, which is -1. Okay, so that means -0.3 is going to be between 0 and -1. All right. All right, my computer's being a little bit weird. Okay, so let's go ahead and answer these. So -3 is between, remember, it's going to be the opposites of these, so it's going to be between 0 and -1. And similarly, -0.5 is also between the integers 0 and -1. This should be a -1 right there. Let's put that guy in there. All right, and then 1.4 is between the integers of 1 and 2. Okay, let me put that negative back in there. Okay, here we go. I send these to other teachers, so these lessons. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph each temperature. So remember, -0.3 is 3/10 below 0 on the number line. Okay, so, and then be careful, you guys. These tick marks are going by 2/10. So this is 2/10, 4/10, 6/10, 8/10. 10/10 is 1 right here. And similarly, -2/10, -4, -6/10, -8/10, and so on. Okay. All right. So let me get this little cursor here. So -0.3 is between 0 and -1. So it's between right here, 0 and -1. So here's -2/10. Here's -4/10. So -3/10 is going to be right there. Okay. And then -5/10. Okay. So here's 2, 4, here's 6. So -5/10 is going to be right there. Okay, and then finally 1.4 positive. Here's 1.2, 1.4 is right there. Okay, all right, and then it didn't ask us this, but which one is the smallest number? The one that's lowest. This is the mediumest number, and this is the biggest number right there. Okay, because it just depends on how high you go. to tell you who's the biggest guy, okay? So how can we tell which number negative 0.3 is closer to? Is it closer to 0 or is it closer to negative 1? Well, since 0.3 is closer to 0 than it is to 1, then that means negative 0.3 is going to be closer to 0 than it is to negative 1. Or you can just look at the graph. We just graphed that, and so is it closer to 0 or is it closer to negative 1? Well, it's closer to 0 on this graph right there, okay? All right, so let's try this. So the police station is located at a point 0 on a map of Shepherd Lane. Other points of interest of Shepherd Lane are indicated by their distance in miles. So to the right of the police station on a map is represented by positive numbers, so like a number line. So here's 0, so the police station will be right here, and to the right is positive, and then to the left of the police station will be negative right there. Okay, so let's graph these guys on a number line. So here's the teen center, so that's a negative 3/8, so we're going to graph that to the left. McDonald's is a negative 1.2, so that's to the left even further. And then Knowlton Elementary School is to the right 1.4, and the swimming pool is to the right 3/4. Okay, so locate the numbers in relationship to the nearest integer. Okay, so negative 3/8, well, that's going to be between 0 and negative 1. Okay, and then negative 1.5, that's going to be between negative 1 and negative 2. All right, 1 and 1/4, that's going to be between 1 and 2, and then finally 3/4 is between 0 and 1. All right, let's go ahead and graph these guys, okay? So the teen center, now we got to watch these tick marks, okay? So it took me a second to catch this, but these are going by 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're going by so this is negative 8/8 right here. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 eighths, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is negative. So this is negative 8/8. So when we go to negative 3/8, here's negative 1/8, negative 2/8, negative 3/8. So there's negative 3/8. Okay. So these number lines were nice and convenient, and they put the scale in terms of eighths. Okay. So negative 1.5. So negative 1.5. There's negative 1. So right there at negative 4/8 past that. So this is going to be negative 1 4/8. Okay. So and there's negative 1.5 right there. Okay, Knowlton Elementary is at 1 1/4. Okay, so here's 1 right here. Here's 1/8. Here's 2/8. So 2/8 is a quarter. Okay, so here's a half right there. So half of a half is a quarter. So there's Knowlton Elementary School right there. And then 3/4 is going to be, okay, so it's not quite to 1. 3/4 is halfway between a half and 1. So it's going to be right there. Okay, so if they asked us, you guys, we can figure out which one is the furthest to the left, which one's the furthest to the right, and all that stuff. So let's answer some questions here. So explain how we can use the horizontal or vertical number line to graph a rational number. Okay, well, first identify the two integers that the number lies between, and then we just graph the number, remembering that the values become greater as you move up or as you move to the right on a number line. Okay, so as you go up, they become bigger. As you go to the right, they become bigger. So how do we identify the two integers that negative 1.5 is between? Okay, well, we knew that negative 1.5 is the opposite of 1.5, and since 1.5 is between the integers of 1 and 2, then that means negative 1.5 must be between the integers that are opposite of 1 and 2, which is negative 1 and negative 2. Okay, so how do we know from looking at the table that the police station is between Knowlton and the swimming pool? Okay, well, the location of this says Knowlton Elementary School right there, and the pool have different signs. So remember, on the number line, numbers that have different sides are on opposite sides of 0. So the police station was at 0, if you remember, and then since Knowlton was positive right here, and the pool was positive also. Whoops, that should be McDonald's. All right, let's change that to McDonald's right there. I made a mistake. So McDonald's is on one side and the swimming pool is on the other side because McDonald's, sorry about that, you guys, McDonald's is negative 1.5 and the swimming pool is positive 3/4. So here's the swimming pool right here. I'm sorry, here's the police station. The swimming pool would be positive. McDonald's is over here. Okay, sorry about that. A little twist right there. All right, you guys, I hope that lesson made sense, and take care.